So we're doing Moreh nevuchim, and Moreh nevuchim is Guide for the Perplexed by Rambam. This is a book we've been doing. We're up to chapter 33, part 1. Part 1 of the books, and we're up to chapter 33 of part 1. So it is injurious, this is how the Rambam says in this chapter. It is injurious to begin at prophetic level of metaphysics, necessary to initiate the young and unintelligent, according to their comprehension, and only those who are talented and have advanced capacity should gradually be perfected by tuition or self-instruction. It's like an infant feeding on wheaten bread, meat, and wine, who dies because the child cannot digest and benefit from the food. The same is true about principles of science and metaphysics. They were presented in enigmas, clad in riddles, taught by a wise man in the most mysterious ways that could be devised, and not because they contain some secret evil or contrary to fundamental principle of law. Because of man's incapacity to comprehend at the beginning of his studies, only slight allusions have been made to them, to serve for the guidance of those who are capable of understanding them. These sciences were therefore called mysteries. In Hebrew we say sodot, or like sod meaning secret, and secrets of the law, sitrei Torah. Once a person comprehends true essence, he gets a true notion what before he only received through simile and metaphor. By conclusive proof or forcible argument where argument is admissible, he arrives at the secrets of the law beyond the common language of man Torah speaks in. The Torah had the principle not to discuss the maimonides, the work of the chariot, the creation, even in the presence of one pupil, except he be wise and gone through the preliminary study, and intelligent, which refers to being talented, clear-headed, quick perception, and has a mind of his own, and then only the headings of that chapter are given to him according to his capacity. Now we're up to part 1, chapter 34. We're going to do half the chapter. Let me see actually how much we'll be able to do. Give me just one moment. I'm going to see if we're going to do half of it or more than half of it. Well, we'll start. So anyway, so chapter 34, there are 5 reasons why instruction should not begin with metaphysics, but should at first be restricted to pointing out what's fitting for notice and maybe made and what may be made manifest to the multitude. 1, it is difficult, subtle, and profound subject, as it says in iyov. So this is iyov, Job 28:20. It says, "Whence then cometh wisdom, and where the place of understanding?" And as it says in Koheles, which is Ecclesiastes 7:24, "Far off and exceedingly deep, who can find it out?" The sages say only one who can swim can dive down to the depth to get a pearl, but someone else will drown. Okay, number 2. At first, man's intelligence is insufficient. He does not start out endowed perfect, the faculty just in potential, the faculty of perfection. He remains deficient because of an obstacle or lack of training that would turn potential into reality. As it says in iyov chapter 11, verse 12, a man is born a wild ass. And in chapter 32, verse 9, it says, not many are wise. And in succah 45a, it says, I noticed how few were those who attended a higher degree of perfection. Number 3, preparatory studies are of long duration, and man in his natural desire to reach the goal finds them frequently too wearisome, troubling. If preparatory study was unnecessary to reach the end, then they'd be utterly superfluous and tiresome. Even someone who was simply awakened, like from a sleep, like we call someone awakened, right, would show a natural desire for true knowledge of angels, the creation of the world, the heavens, heavenly beings, the body, the soul, existence, relationships, purpose, etc., he still wouldn't want to listen for more than a few words, and he wouldn't want to interrupt his usual pursuits for a week to learn. He'd refuse, for a week even, right? He would refuse to believe there's anything requiring preparatory study and persevering research. He would be satisfied and contented with imaginary and misleading notions. But all the subjects are connected, because nothing exists besides Hashem and his works. We can only obtain a knowledge of him through his works, which evidence his existence and show what must be assumed concerning him. It is necessary to examine all things according to their essence first. He who wishes to attain to human perfection must study logic, then the various branches of mathematics in their proper order, then physics, then metaphysics. And continuing, it is discouraging in the preliminary course. It's discouraging that in the preliminary course it takes so long, and many become weary and interrupted even by surprise death while in preliminary study. In other words, they're discouraged. So without having learned if there's really a God or not, much less that certain things be asserted about him, God, while other things denied as defects. In Koheles, oh boy, I can't even make it out. It says, if the iron be blunt and he do not whet the edge, then must he put to more strength, and it is profitable to prepare for wisdom. In mishlei 19:20, which is Proverbs, it says, hear counsel and receive instruction that thou mayest be wise in thy latter end. So I looked up, it's Koheles 10:10. Ecclesiastes 10:10. If the axe is dull or the iron is dull, the blade unsharpened, more strength must be exerted, but skill or wisdom produces success. That's how he's saying it. So that's Koheles, Ecclesiastes 10:10. During the study, many doubts present themselves, and the difficulties or objections are soon understood, just as a building's demolition is easier than its erection. It's impossible to prove an assertion or remove doubts without having recourse to several propositions taken from these preliminary studies. Approaching metaphysical problems without proper preparation is like a person who journeys somewhere and falls into a deep pit and can't rise and perishes there, and it would have been better if he just stayed at home, right? In mishlei, which is Proverbs, it says, chapter 21, verse 25-26, it says, the desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands refuse to labor. He coveteth greedily all the day long, but the righteous giveth and spareth not. So it basically would be better to not have a desire if you're a sluggard or slothful or indolent, because doing nothing but desiring and not seeking to satisfy, and just hoping to obtain it without without using the means to reach it, while a righteous person gives everything its due portion, studies and for the whole time required for the thing, and does not devote any part of the time to another purpose. But majority of scholars, even the most famous scientists, are afflicted by this failing, that hurry at once to the final results, and speaking of them, but without treating the preliminary disciplines. Folly and ambition leads them to disregard the preparatory study for the attainment of that which they're incapable or too idle. And some scholars actually endeavor to prove that these are injurious and superfluous. On reflection, the truth will become obvious. Fourth is the physical constitution. Moral conduct is preparation for intellectual progress. Only a man whose character is pure, calm, and steadfast can attain to intellectual perfection. That is, acquiring correct conceptions. Men are naturally constituted, so all perfection is impossible. So perfection for all is impossible. For example, a very warm-hearted, empowered, passionate person with a humid, warm, vigorous testicles and the organs connected here are surcharged and will not refrain easily from sin, even if he makes great efforts to restrain himself. Also, people of great levity and rashness with excited manners and wild gestures, which is a disordered constitution, and he has such a bad and incurable temperament, he cannot attain perfection. So it is useless. He occupies himself, with studies of metaphysics, which isn't the same as sciences of geometry and medicine. And not everyone can morally prepare, which is required for success. Not everyone who is capable of approaching, one needs to acquire the highest degree of righteousness and integrity, as it says in Mishlei 3:22. For the froward, which I looked up is a disobedient, stubborn, willful, hard to manage one. For the froward is an abomination to the Lord, but his secret is with the righteous. And so it's considered inadvisable to teach young, hot-blooded men with the flame of youth. Pretty much, on account of which they can't comprehend it, as because they first must become less hot, moderate. They have to become moderate, settled, with a subdued temper and a humble-hearted. They have to become humble-hearted, but they can arrive at the highest degree of perception of God, as it says in Tehillim 34:18. The Lord is nigh, which means near, close, unto them that are of a broken heart. And as it says in Yeshayahu 58:7-15, Isaiah, I dwell in a high and lofty place with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, to require the spirit of the humble, and to revive the spirit of the humble, and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. In other words, in English, if you're not transparent or nullified, or we call it bittul in Hebrew, like without self-obsession or without too much self, you can't succeed at this. The next thing is that the president of the court, the Av Beit Din, it's called the father of the courthouse, his heart is full of care. In other words, his wisdom is united with humility and meekness, and he has a great dread of sin. The secrets of the law can only be communicated to a counselor, scholar, in good order. Only only a person like this can acquire these qualities if students have a physical constitution favor their development. Some are weak in giving counsel, some are ready with proper counsel and good advice in social and political matters. The person that's a counselor yet still may be unable to comprehend purely abstract notions, even such are similar to common sense. He's unacquainted with them and has no talent for whatsoever for them. Others are intelligent, naturally clear-sighted, able to convey complicated ideas in concise and well-chosen language, and that person's a good orator, but he hasn't been engaged necessarily in the pursuit of science or hasn't acquired a knowledge of it. Those who have actually acquired a knowledge of these sciences are called scholars, wise in arts. Another word for this is called chacham charishim. And when such a man speaks, others become speechless. The admission of a person into discourses on metaphysics is made dependent on distinction in social qualities, the study of philosophy, as well as clear-sightedness, intelligence, eloquentness, and ability to communicate things by slight allusions, and a certain age is also required. Can't speak on metaphysical themes in the presence of everyone, in other words. And 5, the last of these 5 reasons, is man is disturbed in his intellectual occupation by the necessity of looking after his body's material wants and providing for family. And also if he seeks superfluities in addition to his ordinary wants, for by custom and bad habit, these become powerful motive, and even the referred to perfect man, if he's too busy with the necessary things, much more so if busy with unnecessary things, and filled with great desire for them, must weaken or altogether lose his desire for study, to which he will apply himself with interruption, lassitude, and want of attention. He'll not attain to that for which he is fitted by his abilities, or will acquire imperfect knowledge, a confused mass of true and false ideas. The beginner should abstain from metaphysical studies, like the child should abstain from taking in solid food and carrying heavy weights, and it should be exclusively cultivated by privileged persons and not entrusted to common people. So we'll stop here, and I wish you all the best. May we be successful in our endeavors. May people keep their word to us, and may we be humble and go with the flow and feel bliss and not need to cling or be needy to anything on the outside, and really have full faith and trust in God, and feel satisfied with what He's giving us, the good, trusting it's good, and feeling it's good, and having faith that it's good. All the best. Bye. Oh, and one more thing, and unity, and may those who struggle with feeling like the soulmate will know that it's us. May we have our soulmate know that it's us, and may it feel easy and clear in that way, and that we should it should just be simple, two puzzle pieces, figuring it out together, and in working on ourselves, it should impact in a positive way our soulmate, and in our soulmate working on himself or herself if you're a man, it should impact us in a positive way. All the best. Bye.